All right, everybody, we will get started this morning. Again, welcome to the Boston College Get to Know BC webinar for residential life and dining services. My name is Lauren Riley. I am one of the admission counselors in the Office of Undergraduate Admission, and I am joined by two very special and important people on our campus who are here to talk to you today about residential life and dining services. We have George Arey, Associate Vice President of the Office of Residential Life and Special Projects. And we have Beth Emery, the Director of Dining Services. They are going to be here today to give you as much information as they can about dining services and residential life at Boston College. We know that some of you have already deposited and are planning to join us this fall, and we are so excited to welcome you. We also know that some of you have not made your decision yet, and you have some big decisions to make in the next week or so before that May 1 deposit deadline. So we hope that we can give you as much information as possible and answer any questions that you may have. You'll notice on the bottom of your screen, you have a Q&A feature there. As our presenters are talking, feel free to throw any questions in there. We have some of my colleagues who are behind the scenes who are going to try to answer some of those questions. And then we will also give some questions to George and Beth towards the end of this session after they do a brief presentation to make sure that we get your questions answered. And again, if you do have any questions after this, especially about the admission piece, don't hesitate to contact our office over the next week. This is our last full weekend of our series having to do with Boston College and Experience Boston College for our admitted students. But we do have some more programs coming up over the next few days, and we encourage you to register for those as you make your final decisions. But I'm officially going to turn it over to the experts here and let them get started. So Beth, I believe we're going to start with you in dining services.
Great, Lauren. Thrilled to be with all of you here today to talk about dining services. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay. Sorry, let's see. So just a few things about dining services, who we are and what makes us unique. We are a self-operated dining program. We're actually only one of 3 in the Boston area that are self-operated, and very proud of that. Our program is different from many other university dining programs. It's an a la carte program. It is not an all you care to eat program. So that means that students can eat what they want, where they want, and when they want, and they choose how much to spend each time they eat. We're very proud of that. Our dining team are all employees of BC, and that we pay them a competitive fair wage, and they have a guaranteed work week. They do get the same benefits that any of the faculty and staff that work on campus. And we have an incredibly diverse team that we're really proud of. You can see on this slide, this is our team. We represent 33 nations. We have over 11 languages spoken, and it's a big team. It's one of the largest departments on campus, over 1,000 staff that are really excited to serve students every day. As I mentioned, it's an a la carte program, so it's definitely different than many other schools. We have great feedback from our students about that because it gives them flexibility. We've got a number of dining locations across campus. We run the concessions for all of the sporting events. We have a pizza delivery program. We host specialty pop-up events. We run the vending machines. We have a number of markets on campus, and we have a pretty robust mobile ordering, which, as you might expect, was very big this year with the pandemic. Typically, we have locations open between 6:30 a.m. and midnight, 7 days a week. And this gives you just an idea of the breadth of locations and services that we have on campus. So you can see there's 3 main residential dining facilities, one on the Newton campus, Stewart, one on Upper Campus, McRoy. Those are the 2 locations that serve the majority of our freshmen. And then Corcoran Commons on the lower campus serves some of our other students. These operations are all available to every student and open to faculty and staff as well. So why a la carte? It's basically a student's money for 32 weeks to use as they like. They can buy meals for themselves, friends, their siblings, their parents. The balance remains the same after school breaks or time away. So if they go away for the weekend or go home for the weekend, they don't lose any of their meals. It will be the same. And that's one of the differences between the a la carte program and some of the all you care to eat programs. This is just a comparison of other schools similar to BC and our dining program, which is available on our website if you'd like to look at it more carefully. And it does, just show you some of the differences. The residential meal plan is required, and it's part of living on campus for freshmen. And you can see this is this next year's program. It provides approximately $26 a day, which for most students would give them 2 meals plus a snack. And then we do have options if you want to upgrade your program. There's a maroon upgrade and a gold upgrade. And it really depends on the student and what kind of habits they have and what their plans are for eating on campus. That wraps up. It's a quick summary, but I do encourage you to follow us on social media. You'll get to see a lot of the fun programs we offer on campus. Instagram is certainly the one that most of the students follow us on, but you're welcome to follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We've got some great videos on YouTube, and I know Lauren said she put some in the chat, which give you a better feel for some of the work we do on campus. So thanks so much for your time, and I'm going to stop sharing and pass it over to my colleague, George.
Thank you, Beth. Yes, and George, you can take it away. As a reminder, we do have that Q&A feature there too. So for those of you who are just rolling in now, definitely don't hesitate to put any questions in there. But George, take it away for residential life.
All right. It is, I would like to say amazing to see everybody this morning, but I can't see you. So I'm just going to throw that out. It is amazing here in Boston. There is not a cloud in the sky, and it is beautiful outside. So it is a great day to have all of you join us. Residential life. I'm going to jump in and give you a quick snapshot of who we are in residential life. So again, my name is George Arey, and I am the Associate Vice President for Residential Life. And I do special projects here, which is a nice way of saying I do whatever the bosses tell me to do. So that being said, I have the honor of having an amazing team, much like Beth. We're a pretty big team. We have professional staff of about 40 professionals, 14 of which live in the residence halls, which are called resident directors. And they all have master's degrees in counseling and higher education. And occasionally we'll get social work as a degree program. We also have the main office staff, which are folks like myself who kind of organize how we function at the institution. We have about 7,534, I think is about the number of beds that we have on campus, which makes us a pretty good sized city when you think about what it is that we do on campus. It's about 2.2 million square feet of space that we have that's residential. That being said, we also have this amazing staff that you will become very familiar with, which is our resident assistant staff and our graduate student staff. We have 31 graduate students, and those graduate students are all folks that are getting a degree, a master's degree or a doctoral degree, and they stay with us and work with us while they're also pursuing their education, which is kind of amazing because we get some really amazing people who are also active in the classroom, just like our students. And then our RAs, we have 192 RAs, and our RAs and our overall professional staff stretch from all around the world. We have folks that are from international students that are with us that serve as RAs, that are sophomores, juniors, seniors, or graduate students. We have folks from all over the US, from California to Florida to Maine. And it's a pretty diverse overall team, which is really exciting because we have folks that We don't have a specific major that you have to be an RA. We want the RAs to represent the students that they live with. So we have people that are from the hard sciences, the biologies and the chemistries, over to the fine arts, to the folks that are in the middle with the arts and sciences, the political sciences and histories and those types of majors. So, but they're all highly involved on campus. The RAs are some of the most involved students that you will interact with. Very similar to the folks that you're going to interact with the student admissions organization or your orientation leader, if you choose to come to BC. Same kind of personality, heavily involved, great resources. They serve in a role within the residence halls where they function not only as resources, but they're also people that are connectors. They're a huge part of their job is to figure out how to get our first year students acclimated to BC and then to connect them to other people, connect them to different organizations on campus, connect them to different interests, expose them to different people and different ideas. They do a lot of work around getting students involved in a way that expands upon their experience outside of the classroom. You're all going to spend a bunch of time in class, 15, 16 plus hours in class, that normal class piece, but then you spend a whole lot of time inside your residence hall. And our job is really to connect you with people and to create community. For many of you, this is going to be the first time that you've lived with somebody completely different from potentially a different country, from a different place in the United States, potentially different political affiliations, different religion. It is a diverse population that we have. Within that, our job is to help you understand how to manage that and to work with people and to develop this sense of community. One of the great things about the residence halls at Boston College is you are going to, within your residence hall, make friends that you will have for your entire life. I don't know any other place that we can actually say that. Like, there are folks, including our host, who went through Boston College, who I guarantee you can say that she has friends that she met in the residence halls and on campus that she's, still in touch with and still hangs out with. That's a huge piece. We also have some special living learning programs. So if you have a very specific interest and you want to live with people with that same kind of interest, we have some of these programs that you can opt into, from leadership to a multicultural learning experience to sustainability. If you are a person who is substance free, we have a substance free living learning program. We have a first generation living learning program, which allows folks like myself, when I transitioned into college, it was a challenge being a first gen. We have this program that allows us to support first generation students as they're matriculating into the university, which is great. So we have all these different programs. You can find all of this information at the Residential Life website. I encourage you to go there and dig in and ask us questions. We have probably 5 different email addresses that you can email, and they all go to the same people. And we're all about figuring out how we can support our students as they make their decision to come to BC. And then when they get here, we want to figure out how we can help make that transition in. That's kind of a snapshot of us. I will say one thing that I want to reiterate that Beth mentioned that's really, really important, especially with our dining. We have such a partnership with our dining folks and our dining program. It is an exceptional program. This is my 5th university. It is a program that you don't find everywhere. And a very unique piece to that program is the social justice component of making sure that all of our dining employees are treated like the rest of the employees at the university. That is a huge, huge thing. And I want everyone to know that that's a big piece of the program. And you don't see that everywhere. That shows the caring values that we put into our staff, which then we put into our student population. So just want to highlight that. And then kick it back to Lauren to see if there is questions.
Yes, we have some great questions rolling in, so thank you, everybody. We'll start with throwing a question back to you, Beth. And I think you mentioned this, but if you can just reiterate it. If I don't spend all my money on food, can I use it the next semester from my meal plan?
So yes, the residential meal plan does roll over from the fall to the spring semester, but it does need to be used by the end of the spring semester or you do forfeit it. And we will go out of our way to help make sure that you spend all of your funds.
Thank you. And then George, we have a lot of questions about triples and specifically the lofted force triples. Some people, one of the questions is, I believe I read somewhere that people in those triples are refunded some of their housing charge. Do you volunteer for those or are you assigned to those?
Yes, so it's a great question. This year, we're not 100% sure that we're going to have forced triples coming in for the fall semester. I say that because we're still working on our plan for hopefully post-pandemic reality. But so we should have some information and updated on our website in the next couple of weeks. That being said, if we do have forced triples or what we call the lofted triples, then you volunteer. So we take volunteers first, and if we get enough volunteers, then we leave it at that. If we don't and we have to assign people, it's always after the volunteers, after we've assigned the volunteers. And yes, there is a 1/3 rebate for each individual that is in a lofted triple.
Awesome, great. And then Beth, a question for you. We have a student asking about speaking about gluten-free options or for students with celiac, or also maybe just how to work with a nutritionist for any restrictions that students might have when it comes to dining.
So if any of you do follow a gluten-free diet or are vegan or vegetarian or have an allergy, please go to our website. You'll get lots of information there. And certainly we have a pretty robust program. We have a dietitian that will meet with anyone with a special medical nutritional need and teach these students the best way to navigate the dining hall so that they can find the food that they like. We also have listservs that we have student nutrition interns send to each different group, students with allergies, students that follow a gluten-free diet, students that are vegan and vegetarian, so that they can do a better job at reaching out so that students can find all of those options across campus. So we welcome your emails. I know George mentioned we have a BC Dining at bc.edu. So if any of you have questions after this, feel free to send those out and we'll get those answered.
Thank you. And then George, the big question that we get for freshmen, right? Upper versus Newton. Is that something that you select? Are you randomly placed there? And some students are asking about pros and cons of each or what that difference is like.
Sure. So it's a random placement. You can request to be there by virtue of some of the programs that are on the Newton campus, the living learning programs. There's about 800 students that live on the Newton campus. There's around 1,400 that live on Upper campus. So I'm exceptionally biased when I say this. So I'm going to share, but with a grain of salt there. I would argue the Newton campus is by far the better option. And I say that for two reasons. One is because there is a lot of open green space. It is less dense in the number of people that live there. It has an amazing array of different opportunities that are out there. I like the Newton campus. I also like smaller buildings. And part of that is on Newton campus, the smallest or the biggest building is about 325 people, whereas on Upper campus, it's almost 600 people. And to me, if you want to develop strong relationships and some of those really strong friendships, you're going to do that more so on the Newton campus, where you're not just packed in, and that's a huge piece. It's You're going to have to take a bus, and that is part of the daily experience of somebody living on Newton campus. And when I talk to first year students and I ask them about their experience, that's where a lot of their friends come from, is the Newton bus and waiting to get picked up. The bus runs every 15 minutes. So there's no delay in that reality. And it's just generally a great experience. Upper campus has the benefit of being able to walk down the hill to the football game. That's great. And again, not a bad place to live at all, but I'm biased. I have two daughters that are a ways away from college still, but if I'm here at Boston College, they will live on the Newton campus. Just putting that out there. They may not understand that yet, but they will. That's what I have to say about that piece. But it is randomly assigned.
George, I'd love to add to it, because the dining experience on the Newton campus is different. At dinner time, it's on the law school campus, but pretty much at dinner, it's all freshmen. So it's a really nice, small community. The dining team really gets to know those students well. The feedback we get is really positive. And then too, I have to jump in. My children are older than George's. So my son is a senior, and he lived on the Newton campus, and every single one of his roommates this year are from his floor on Newton campus. So he had a fabulous experience at Newton.
And I'll definitely add too, as an alum, one of my favorite things is I lived on Upper, so I feel like, oh my goodness, I lived on Upper campus. But I think one of the great parts about the experience for students is I feel like every year when you talk to students and you ask them which campus is the better campus, there's usually about a 60-40 split of students who live on Upper versus Newton. And every time you ask a student, they are like diehard support of their campus. So I think that just speaks to the fact that no matter where you live, you're going to feel that community, right? You're going to find that community there. But it's always one of my favorite things, even talking to alums, right? Some of the first questions like, well, where did you live freshman year? And it's like, you naturally also have that bond when you're talking to alums. So it's a great experience both ways. And I will say, Beth, you're right. There's that theory that the best dining hall on campus is actually on Newton campus. So there's definitely that experience there as well. George, or actually, well, Beth, we'll actually kick it back to you for one question. We have a question about if students are able to use meal plan money on non-BC associated restaurants off campus, and to clarify what that $175 option is under the residential dining plan.
So the main residential dining plan is not used off campus. The $175 of dining bucks each semester is used at a number of specialty locations on campus that are really popular, like Hillside Cafe, our pizza delivery program. You can use it if you go to a football game and you want to get concessions. So it's for some of the fun spots. We did just open a restaurant on campus called BC After Dark, and you can use that $175 there.
Awesome. And then George, we have a question about freshman move-in, and if we have any information about when that will be quite yet for these freshmen that are looking to move in.
Absolutely. We're not 100% sure quite yet. We will be releasing a date in the next 2 weeks as to move in. Historically, it is the last week in August. And in pre-pandemic, we moved all of our first year students in on the same day, which is just madness. 2,300 students all trying to come in on the same day with families and everything. This year, I believe that we will continue to do a 2-day move-in, but we're going to confirm all of those details. We're still waiting for a little bit of information from the state and the Department of Health in our pandemic reality as to how dense a population we can have at any given time. So we'll have more details when you, let me reframe that. If you choose to come to BC, which we hope you do, but if you choose to come to BC, then we will give you a whole bunch of information. You'll be inundated with Res Life information because we want to make sure that you get your room assignment, and we'll give you information on move-in, and if we're going to use a selected time, you get to select a time to move in, and all of those different logistics. We will give you all of that, but it's usually the last week in August.
Great. And then Beth, we have some students who are worried, but if they run out of money on their account for dining, how do they go about adding money, or is there an easy way to do that without buying an entire other meal plan?
So the maroon and the gold upgrade that I mentioned, and it was showed up on one of the slides, those are, it's very easy to go online and add money to your account. And those do roll over. So if you did decide to add that to your account, they can be used at any dining location on campus, including concessions and the special locations I mentioned. And if you don't use that additional money, it will roll over to the next year or the next semester.
Great. And then George, we have some more questions about the living learning community. So first, as George mentioned, I definitely encourage you to go to the website to see a full list of what those offerings are and some details about it. But a big question we're getting is, how do you show your interest? How do you apply for one of those? What does that process to look like there?
Sure. So once you have completed your housing application, we will send you a set of links that will give you information on each of the programs. And then you'll be able to select into their application-based programs. So you'll complete an application, and and then the applications are reviewed, and we try to build those communities. That all happens after you have completed, you've deposited and said you're coming to BC and all those pieces, and then completed your housing application. So we'll get all that information out to you. I just put in the chat the direct link to all of our living learning program information. If you scroll down on that page, you'll see all the programs, and then there's a toggle that gives you all the first year programs, which again range from first year students on through to our first gen students on through to a nursing program and a number of other programs. So all that information will come out to you once you decide you're coming to BC and complete that application.
Great. And then Beth, can you talk a little bit about the different dining locations and if there's different meal options that are happening there, if there's like a rotation of the different meals that students have as options during their time?
So yes, the three main locations which I mentioned, that would be Stewart on the Newton campus, McElroy on the main campus, and Corcoran on the lower campus. They run a 3-week cycle menu, and they all run different menus so that students have a wide variety of choices. And then in addition to that, they have a lot of everyday options. For example, grill, where you can get burger, veggie burger, grilled chicken, and then they usually have some specialty options. Then in addition to that, down in McElroy, which is the largest and most popular place at lunch because it's in where all of the classes are, so just because of its location, we have a location called the Eagle's Nest, which is open for lunch and very crowded. And that's got a station like very similar, we call it the Greens, but it's very similar to what you would see at Sweet Greens. We have a bowls program, which is something you might see similar at a Honey Grow or a Cava or a Dig In. And then we have, a panini and deli station. So lots of your favorite options.
Great. And so, George, we got a lot of questions about the choosing of roommates. So a couple of them, can we talk a little bit about that process? What % of students choose versus going random? How do you go about selecting your roommate? If students request each other, are they guaranteed to be together? So all of those general questions about going through that process.
So, which is a great set of questions. Roommates end up being, it depends on the year. Some years it's 50-50, depending upon who selects versus who goes random. Some years that changes, it just depends on the class year. or the year of the class, and the incoming class is personality, which is funny to say, but there's a personality to each individual class. With that being said, once you fill out your housing application, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. And part of those questions that we ask are things that help us if we randomly match people. And they're really important that you are being very upfront. So if you say that you're a non-smoker, but you smoke, that's not going to end well. It's better to own that right up front so we can make sure that we put you in a place where you're with somebody that can manage that rather than somebody that's allergic to smoke. Like there's those pieces in there. It's the same thing where and I know if you're anything like I am, my mom and dad made sure that I was up really early every morning. I went to college and early morning was not something I was going to do. So I slept in the morning. But yet when I filled out my application, I filled out that I was an early riser. So I got placed with another early riser. That just doesn't work. So we want you to be really honest and upfront, and don't have your parents fill it out for you, because mom and dad are always going to say that you're neat, you don't smoke, you get up early, you do yoga in the morning. Like they're gonna say all those things because that's how they see you, as opposed to how you're going to function. So be really, really transparent there. There are opportunities. A lot of our students will preface, because they'll go to the orientation and they'll find somebody at orientation that they just click with. And that will be the person that they put down as being a roommate choice. How we do roommate choices is both ends of that equation have to choose one another. So if Lauren chooses Beth and Beth chooses Lauren, then we will match them together and we'll put them into a room. But if Lauren chooses Beth and Beth chooses somebody else, then that's not going to work. So being very upfront and communicating with the people that you want to live with is really important. So that way you know that it's going to work from the very beginning. All that being said, I am a huge fan of the concept of going random. I think personally that random is the best option. And there's a lot of data in the world of higher education that says random is a great option, because you're going to learn and interact with somebody new. You're going to expand the number of people that you know right out of the gate. A lot of times people that come from the same high school immediately think, well, I was good friends with this person when I was in high school, so I should probably live with them. You were good friends with them when you lived in different houses in high school, and you went home to your own houses. Now you're going to be living in the same space, and sometimes that becomes more challenging because you do know somebody and they know your family and you know their family and all those kind of pieces. I'd argue that it's better to go random, and expand that network and learn from another person, and to be able to teach another person about who you are is huge. But all of that will be laid out in future emails and on our website for you to be able to get fully versed. And your orientation leaders also talk about room selection and some of those pieces in roommates.
Great. And then Beth, question about, do you have to get a meal plan? Like, do you have to buy one of those full meal plans when you're at BC?
So the residential meal plan is required based on where you live. So all freshmen that live on campus are required to be on the residential meal plan. And then as you become a sophomore or junior, it's dependent on if you live in a res hall that does not have a kitchen, you are required to be on the meal plan.
And great. And then George, we have some questions about the way residence halls are laid out. So is it co-ed? Are there single sex floors? What's that mix there?
That is a great question. So we are, all of our buildings are co-ed, but they're co-ed by building. And then when you get on the floor itself, it's a single sex floor. So all of our floors are are single sex. That way the bathrooms work out and all those pieces. That's your first year, or what we define as traditional residence halls. When you walk down and all the doors to the rooms open onto the hallway. Once you get into your sophomore, junior, and senior year, you have the option of going into apartments, and you have the option of going into suites, and those are single sex by unit. So it may be 8 women living together, 8 men living together, and they may be in adjoining apartments or units, but they're separate, and it becomes co-ed by floor.
And then actually a follow-up to that too, are there lounges, study spaces, gyms, areas in all of the residence halls for students?
Great question. There are lounges and common area spaces in all residence halls. Those lounges are broken into 3 pieces. There is what we call an active study space or a social space. That's for the students that want to socialize, but also want to be able to study, and are people that want noise when they're studying. They don't mind other people talking and things of that nature. Then there's a quiet study space, which is much more of an academic space. And then there's a reflection space in every one of our communities, which is more for journaling, prayer, any kind of reflective practice that you may have. Those spaces, those are in all of our residence halls. The gym spaces are not. We do not have gym space or athletic space in our residence halls. We have a brand new facility that is just amazing on campus, the Canal Center, and it is a giant recreation center. All of our students go there. There is a smaller facility on the Newton campus called the Hut, which also has a basketball, weight equipment, things of that nature. But the vast, vast majority of our students, no matter where they are on campus, go to the new rec center.
Great, thank you. And then let me see, we still got a few coming in here. Beth, is there a place where students can see the menu or the prices for the different dining halls and what's available there?
Yes, the menu is online on our website, and you can look at that today to see what's being served this weekend or next week. All of the nutrition information is there too. We don't have the pricing on the website, but it is on the digital signage when you come into the dining hall, or labeled as you come through the dining hall.
Great. Well, I think we have covered a lot in this question and answer period and through your presentation. So a lot has been covered already. I think we will close it up now. If there are specific questions that have to do with your, specific case, or anything else that you think of, definitely encourage you to, one, use the websites. Their websites, both for dining services and residential life, are stacked with information. I know I use those all the time too, and I'm trying to answer questions for students or looking something up. So definitely utilize those. And then of course, if you have any questions, let us know, whether it's contacting, the admission office. We're happy to help point you in the right direction. Or if you have questions that are directly for these offices or for Beth's office or George's office, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to them as well. I definitely want to thank our presenters for being here today. I also want to thank all of you for being here today. We know that you have a lot of important decisions to make coming up if you haven't already. So again, if we can be of any assistance as you navigate this process, whether you've committed to Boston College or you're trying to decide, we're happy to help you through the next couple of weeks and of course the summer as you prepare to join us, hopefully. So thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon, a great rest of your weekend, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.